Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Wreckers and Checkers. Start your engines, please.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome to another week. It's your boy, Travis, as always, joined by the great Mr. Coors Lightyear himself.
How you doing, everybody?
What's going on, man?
Oh, living that dream. Almost made it to Friday. Almost made it to race day.
Hell yeah. Probably only got like 50 hours on the clock so far this week.
Yeah, about there, yeah. That blue collar life,
Gotta love it, man. Gotta
Got
love
to
it.
love it. Somehow I got to pay for NASCAR tickets.
Oh, dude. They're not getting any cheaper either.
No, sir.
Hey, that's probably one thing the tariffs ain't going to screw up, though. NASCAR tickets are going to be... that's made in America right here.
Right? It might screw Toyota.
Yeah, fuck them. Whoops.
Oops.
Well, so today's show, we got a similar style as last week. We're going to do a little recap. Of the Martinsville race.
Half mile of mayhem.
Yeah. Didn't disappoint too much. Pretty good race.
No.
Kinda. and then we're gonna look ahead, obviously, to Darlington, which
the Lady in Black.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Very much.
Learned a little bit about it, and you guys might too. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into our newest segment, week 2 of the Wrecker or Checker of the week. So we're starting off on a weird note here. I understand. Wrecker of the week, not actually a Cup Series race, because we couldn't leave the Xfinity Series behind with the way that they finished. What a cluster!
Yeah, I mean, all week long, everything NASCAR has been about the boys in Xfinity Series, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sammy Smith railroading dude on the final lap, which all these Cup guys are bitching about it, but every one of them would have done the same thing for the win. So they can kind of suck it there.
Dude,
Denny Hamlin did it to Chase at this very race like 5 years ago. So
yep. I would not have been feeling very comfortable as Noah Gray coming around on that last lap for the overtime there, dude. He was just out there just waiting for it, you know.
Yeah, you almost got to know it's coming, especially on a short track, right? I mean, you're going to get the bumper put to you. Yeah. Granted, you might not be expecting to get hit that hard,
and right
there, could have been expected.
Yeah. No, so anyway, we had to go with them because that was just too fun to watch. Honestly, some people had some skin in the game, pretty upset about it. Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, the last 5 laps of the Xfinity race was nothing but smashing, banging, and wrecking.
But what was hilarious though is Austin Hill sneaking in for that win.
Right.
So yeah, that was
good on him. That's the typical explanation of the catbird seat right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just right there to weasel your way in.
Exactly. It ain't how you start; it's how you finish. And sometimes you're finishing in front because the guys in front of you wreck.
Yep, that's so true. So anyway, Wrecker of the week had to go to them. The Cup Series was actually a fairly clean race, so I didn't feel like. I mean, we had a few wrecks here and there, but it wasn't anything that drastically affected Denny Hamlin's complete dominance from lap 126 on. So that was the Checker of the week. I couldn't even pick out one specific thing that Hamlin did. It was maybe the 7 restarts where he beat out Bubba Wallace 3 or 4 times and then beat out Bell, beat out Chase Elliott, who all had good cars, all looked good. But just every restart, he was starting inside every time. And I think it was 7 times in a row. He just got out front on all of them. So
Checker, he had a great long run car too.
Yeah, he did. He never really slowed down after that. So he was good on both ends and had to be the Checker move of the week. You know, like or hate the guy, he ran a hell of a race.
Yeah.
So let's
Did you see that? Did you catch his flag, by the way?
Yeah.
Against the world. Denny versus the world.
Yeah.
He is against the world. I'm not a fan. But
Cry me a river.
Right.
Everybody hates me. So we'll get into the full recap here. You know, I had to put the picture of him kissing the clock up there because, I mean, if you're gonna have Denny Hamlin up there, you might as well have a beautiful clock we could look at too.
The funny part is, I think they forgot that clock at the track I seen.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like his seventh one, so it's not like he's missing it. But it's like, really?
Yeah, well, his first one in a decade. I didn't know it. I
Yeah,
didn't know it had been that long.
I didn't either, but he's won a ton there.
Yeah, yeah. It sounded like it was mostly earlier on.
Makes sense.
So anyway, as most of you probably know at this point, Denny led 274 laps, which is insane. Got 54 points for it. The rest of the top 10 really didn't surprise me a ton. Well, the top five. The top five was pretty chalk, in my opinion, of like the guys who I thought might be good. Bubba maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I kind of thought he was going to be good just based on how well he did at Homestead. I thought
Yeah, I mean,
that,
he's been hot for 3 weeks.
yeah, they've been operating well. Bell actually had, you know, a pretty good shot there at the end to do something, but Hamlin was just seemed like he had a better car. But Bell had that really good pit stop at the end and got out,
Yeah,
and he had the number one pit stall, so he got out. It was either first off pit lane or second, but he had a shot.
yeah. I'd say the biggest surprise is Todd Gilliland ended up
Yeah,
10th.
yeah.
That and the 22 car finally got his first top 10 of the year.
Hey,
After getting spun and feeling all salty about getting spun at the end of the race, still managed to claw back and get into, what he finished eighth.
yeah.
So
No,
that,
yeah, because he was way back there for a while. I believe it
yeah,
was it Briscoe who almost got into Chastain a little bit, but then came up the track and took
the
out
way
Logano.
Joey's seen it is Chastain got into Briscoe
You
and
really gonna
got
trust
into
that what that
Joey.
guy says though?
Well, I'm not impartial either way,
Yeah.
but
No, I get it.
one sees it one way, one sees it the other. That's a little bit of drama we got going into this week.
I saw that. I rewatched it again though, and to me, it didn't really look like Chastain checked up super hard or anything. I think he was just Briscoe was he checked up harder than Briscoe thought he was going to. I don't think it was like a I don't know on purpose type move, but then Briscoe
I
just
don't
got
think it
loose
was
going
either.
up over the top. So
Yeah, very possible. I mean, it was a racing incident. I don't think anyone was really to blame for that one. I mean, he didn't get Sammy Smith, so to say.
no,
So, you know,
no, the big boys don't race like that, right?
yeah, right. So they say.
Yeah, until the playoffs come around.
Exactly. Then it's every man for himself.
Yep.
As long as it don't cost you the W, it don't matter.
Well, I did think that your boy Chase Elliott had a shot there for a while, especially early
Uh,
on. Early on, he
he
was
looked
looking strong.
he looked great in the second stage, and even he was quoted say after the race he really wanted to get Denny in at least in the second stage.
Yeah.
He wasn't sure if he had the car to win the race. He thought he had a chance, but it was one of those. He thought if another lap or two, if there was another couple of laps in that stage, he felt like he could have got to Denny, but
Right.
didn't happen, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things I did add on here. One asterisk next to the name of the guy who won stage one, and two asterisks next to Hamlin's name there for the guy who won stage two. So I'll try and do that for if those people are in the top 10. That way it's easier to reference. But so Logano did take stage one, got 10 points for that, and then Hamlin ended up, just taking the rest of the race basically. So
yeah, those playoff points are huge. So
I
it
did
doesn't
see
matter.
I did see something interesting. I believe it was on the NASCAR homepage. It was a study that they did on uh, the track surfaces and how smooth they are versus how rough they are. Because you were talking about Darlington, I think, being a tire eater,
Yeah,
and
very much so.
I saw that Martinsville was, I think, the actual smoothest one, which I knew it was going to be on the smooth side, having the concrete, in sections. But yeah, I think Martinsville is actually the smoothest track. So
No kidding.
yeah, just on the, I don't remember what year the study was from, but it was pretty recent.
There's actually a really cool exhibit about that in the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
They literally got chunks of the asphalt / pavement, and it shows you the degree of like banking
Oh
as
yeah.
long, and you can literally reach out and touch a piece of the asphalt or whatever they removed,
That's
and
pretty
some
cool.
of them are just jagged as hell.
Yeah. So I believe the worst or the roughest one was Atlanta, which I was kind of surprised.
That would have been their old track, I think, but it could be their new one. But I think that was before they repaved it.
Before they repaved. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't remember what year this was from, but I just thought it was interesting. Darlington was, I think, it was middle-ish, but it was towards the rough side. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely above average on the roughness. But so anyway, I figured that would be a nice point to maybe transition us to our preview of Darlington.
Yeah.
If you're all good with Martinsville, I think we
Yeah. I
think we
mean, I don't
covered
think
them.
there's much more to cover. I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, we'll see if a couple of guys have some issues this coming week, like
yeah.
Joey and Chastain, which all that does is, a little bit of drama is good for NASCAR.
Hell
So
yeah, a fist fight in the pits every now and then.
yeah, I
We,
mean, we're
we
due.
all
We haven't had one yet this year. I mean, and then we got Ty Gibbs and Tyler Reddick.
Oh
Gibbs
yeah,
was all pissed off at Reddick for a little while over something.
yeah,
I
and
don't
I
know
didn't.
what. I can't remember.
Well,
Didn't really see
it
it.
was a move that he made, but it was like it wasn't even a thing. Like I watched it, it didn't really seem like it was a shouldn't have been a thing. But you never know. I'm sure running live like that, tempers are running hot. So
Oh, true. And the funniest part about it is the fact that any one of these NASCAR drivers calling one of the other ones little is
uh,
hilarious because they're all like 5'5" and 130 pounds.
that's true. That's true.
Except for like SVG, I think he's the biggest one out of them all, but that's because he isn't a natural race car driver for NASCAR.
He's a rally car driver.
Exactly. They build them different.
Yep. All right, let's get into Darlington.
Lady in Black.
Yeah. So 75th anniversary for Darlington.
Yeah.
I believe
First race was in 1950.
I believe they're doing some throwbacks.
Yep, that's the kind of the cliche for Darlington. Um, so this is actually one of the it's actually their late race. The Southern 500 is one of the crown jewels of NASCAR.
Hmm.
It's one of the four crown jewels. It's the Southern 500, which is the fall race here,
Yep.
the Daytona 500, the Brickyard, and the Coke 600. Those are like the four most prestigious races in NASCAR.
Nice.
So this is a lot of history here. As everyone knows, it's the Lady in Black, and the reason they have that nickname, it was the first paved NASCAR track. Um, the guy who originally built the track was trying to build something that could compete with the Indianapolis 500 was the goal. And originally it was supposed to be bigger. It's a 1.33 mile track. But originally it was planned to be, a 2 mile track.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there was a couple of different places they looked to buy property to build this. And the guy was actually from Darlington, South Carolina. um, so that's where he ended up finding it. It used to be a peanut farm is where the Darlington racetrack is built.
It's about the right area, I guess.
Exactly. And the one stipulation when they built it was the farmer said, "Hey, all I care about is you don't destroy my minnow pond." So that changed the shape of the entire racetrack and the size, which is kind of a cool fact.
Oh yeah, because I've looked at the map before. They have that pond. I forgot what it's called, but it's like right off the edge of the track.
Yep,
They have like
that's
campground around it, I think.
exactly. So, like I said, it's a long lineage track. A lot of historic races have happened here. Back in 2003, Ricky Craven beat Kurt Busch here for one of the closest margins of victory ever in a NASCAR race. He won by 0.002 seconds, which is literally about an inch.
Wow.
That's happened one other time, and it was at Talladega. And on the opposite end of that spectrum is the largest margin of victory in NASCAR took place at this very same track. In 1965, Ned Jarrett won this race by 14 laps.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so there's guys still trying to finish this race, that race rather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Could you imagine 14 laps? Because they're not like
no.
this ain't a short track either. This,
Right.
it's kind of that intermediate, being a mile and a third.
And it's kind of classified as it's a speedway more so because they run pretty fast here for being a small mile and a half more so than a big mile, right?
Right.
Most winning driver here, David Pearson. He's got 10 wins. Dale Sr. had 9 here. Just for current drivers, out of all the current drivers still running today, leading winner is Denny Hamlin. He's got 4 wins here. And then after that, I mean, you got Bad Brad Keselowski's got 2 here, including 1 last year. And Eric Jones has got 2 here. And then there's a handful of guys that have 1. So there's not a big spread of guys who've done a lot of winning here, you know.
Eric Jones, 2 wins here, huh?
Yeah, old Jonesy.
That's kind of strange.
Yeah. I can't remember when he won here last, if it's been recent or not.
Yeah.
I think it was back when he was in the 43 car still.
Okay.
So when he was driving for Petty. So he must have won them both for Petty, I'm thinking.
Yeah. That would make sense. I don't remember it in the last couple of years, but he's plus 5,000. I mean, maybe it's worth a shot. Plus 5,000.
Yeah, it's worth betting a 5 on, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And as we already kind of touched upon, you know, the fact that this track is a tire eating place, right? We're going to see a busy pit road.
Nice.
We're going to see 4 tire stops. I don't imagine we're going to see a lot of 2 tire stops unless it's, you know, that late race caution where we only got a couple to go.
Right.
And someone's trying to jockey for position coming up from the back.
Yeah.
The tire fall off, like from what you start on fresh tires to what you've got in a handful of laps. I mean, you're dropping up to 3 seconds a lap, which is huge. You know, I mean, that's a lot of fall off.
Yeah.
So fresh skins are going to be, you know, the way to go. I would imagine they're probably going to add an extra set of tires for this race compared to what they're normally run. So they'll probably have 11. They'll probably add an extra set of practice tires as well. Maybe a couple of scuffs between qualifying tires and practice tires.
We're not running any sort of option tires or anything, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
I haven't heard
I would
anything about
imagine that option tires would not do well here because of how abrasive the track is.
It's kind of what I was thinking, but hey, you never know. It is kind of fun when they throw those in.
I love it. I think that should be an option every week.
I kind of like it. I kind of like how it amps up the strategy. So, like, when do you want to use them? You know, if you only get 2 sets or whatever, you know, when do you want to throw those on? Do you want to go early? Do you want to go late? You know, save both of them, or I think it throws another angle in there that's fun to watch the different teams kind of hash out their plans.
Right. I think one plan we will see kind of unfold. It'll be, I don't think everybody will do it, but I think we will see some teams do it. I think we're going to see some short pitting this week to where some guys are going to come in early and try to take advantage of fresh tires versus old tires out on the track.
Yeah, especially some of those guys who are maybe middle of the pack and trying to get ahead on position while they can.
That, and even guys with wins already, right, that can afford to take that risk.
Yeah,
I think are guys that are going to pay dividends to it. And then there's a handful of guys that have crew chiefs that throw curveballs out there like that all the time. Like Paul Wolf is one that him and Joey tend to be on a different strategy than everybody every week. I could see them being a team that does it along with a handful of others.
Yeah, and especially like intermediate tracks like this too, where you're not, you know, super speedways. I feel like you see a lot of people pitting together. You got to stay with, you know, drafting tracks. You know, you're going to stay with your manufacturers or your teams. But But yeah, I feel like you do see several different teams trying to break up the pits a little bit on these intermediate and short tracks.
Right, and it's long enough to where you're not going to go down 2 laps trying to get in and out of the pits,
Right,
like you would on a half mile.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the pit crews are going to be very important as always. But if tires are that important and people are going to be trying to pit at different times, I think getting quick stops in and out, especially if everybody's going to be taking four all the time, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
That's gonna play a big role, and I feel like the guys who I see on this list whose pit crews have been on point, a lot of Toyotas honestly have been on point lately, and then obviously Hendricks.
Yeah,
But Bell, I like him at plus 1,000 here.
yeah,
Um,
that's solid.
Bell at plus 1,000, Byron at plus 800. I like him here as well. Diving through the numbers you put together for the last 6 races, average finish at Darlington was 10.3 was the lowest, and that was William Byron.
Yeah, and he's actually got a win here in the last 6 years, in the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. I think he had one win. I think was it Logano had one win as well here.
Yeah, Logano, Byron, Larson, and Bush, Kyle Bush.
Bush, yeah. One thing I thought was funny was Blaney. He's third best in odds, but his average finish over the last 6 Darlington races here, 20.1. He's just way off from those other top contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some of
DNF
the
stuff, I think.
that, and I think that's some championship hangover too, keeping up with his odds. I mean,
Yeah,
he's ran strong when he hasn't DNF this year, but he's also had a lot of poor finishes because of car issues, right? So
yeah, yeah. No, and that's what it looked like. Like he had several pretty high finishes, like top five, but then he also had at least 2 finishes that were like 32nd or 31st in the
right,
last 6 races. So that's what really brought his average way up. So hey, records or checkers, baby.
that's right. Some odds I like. I like Chase Briscoe. He's at like plus 1,500.
Yep.
He won here last year, I believe.
Yep, he
I
had
mean,
one as well.
my boy Chase at plus 1,800. I mean, he's been running strong. He's got a lot of top fives this year, top tens. So I mean, I don't, he's not the he's got a couple of top five finishes here in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
but the wins.
I actually kind of like him at plus 500 for a top three, too.
Yeah, it's not a horrible bet.
I kind of feel
Um,
like always a bridesmaid might be Elliot's thing for this year.
right. And one thing I do notice as well is they've got both rim riders, Kyle Larson and Tyler
Reddick.
Reddick, is the
Yep.
two betting favorites, and this is a rim riding track.
Yep.
So it's kind of like Miami, to where they're going to be up there close to the wall a lot. So
Yeah, I noticed that. That makes sense. I
I
don't
could see that playing a factor in it.
I don't feel like Reddick's team has really put it all together this year though.
I don't either. They're not looking like they did last year, at least not yet.
No, not quite, but they will at some point, I'm sure. That
Yeah, I
shouldn't.
mean it's bound to come, right?
Yeah,
Like they're too good of a team, and he's too good of a driver not to have some success somewhere.
right. But yeah, I mean, it could be here. You never know. Like week to week, things can fluctuate so much.
Very much so.
Anybody way down the list that
Um,
strikes you for a long shot if you're going to throw $5 on somebody? I know we said Eric Jones.
yeah. I mean Eric Jones is hard pressed at five plus 5,000. I mean, it don't get much longer than that. I mean, maybe Daniel Suarez, maybe, but I don't know. I think out of all those long shots, I like Eric Jones the best. Um, I mean, I guess maybe you could take a flyer on like Alex Bowman at plus 3,000 or Bad Brad at plus 2,800. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's had a couple wins here at least, right? Was it two?
Yeah, he had two, and one of them was last year, so it's not like they're
Yeah.
distant, memories.
Yeah. And he's kind of another one that's started off pretty quiet this year.
Very much so.
So,
He's got burnt too many pokers in the stove. He's got that ownership role and that
yeah.
driver role.
And in the booth, some too.
Yeah, but hey, it's working for Denny, so I mean,
Yeah,
why can't
yeah,
it work for Brad?
that's true. Although, like some people said, I think Denny makes more money when one of his, actual cars that he owns wins rather than
Yeah.
when Denny wins.
I mean, I didn't see the purse for the whole team for Martinsville yet. I forgot to look at that, but I know like the Homestead, for example, that was a $11 million team purse. I don't know how it broke down to the driver and everybody else, but as a whole, they won 11 million and some change.
Right.
So I'm assuming it breaks down in favor of the owners more so to be able to pay other people, right? So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that yeah, if your driver wins, the owner's making some loot.
Yep. Yep. Well, that does tie into something that I told everybody I was going to look into last week. Let's jump ahead to the standings here if you're all good on the Darlington.
Yeah, let's move ahead.
Let's kind of wrap up with the standings here. But last week I told everybody that I was going to look into why certain manufacturers do well at some racetracks for no apparent reason and then not do well at another similar racetrack. I'll be honest, what I found was inconclusive. However, there are a lot of working theories that I think are probably most of it. One of the ones that I saw that made the most sense was yes, every NASCAR is built to certain specifications, but there is quite a bit of room for individualism within the both the engines and the aerodynamics, the drivetrain, everything. So you'll have different characteristics from Ford than you will Toyota, than you will Chevy, even though they're all built to roughly the same horsepower. The power bands may be in different areas, where they make their power the best or whatever, may vary slightly. Their aerodynamics may vary slightly. So what some people think is that these tracks, they'll find a track where they think they have an advantage and they'll really push into that. And they'll kind of invest like what they think their advantage is really into that track. Like the example that I saw was the Fords back in the 90s and early 2000s used to dominate super speedways, supposedly. It's just an example I saw. But then coming, 10 years later, it kind of flipped and now they suck on super speedways or whatever, But it was because during that period of time, they had found an advantage within the rules that helped them on that style of track.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly. I mean, coming from a Hendrix fan, that's the case, right? How many times do you guys get red flagged for something?
Amen to that, Teach.
Yeah.
You're
But
only cheating if you get caught.
that's kind of what I assumed it was. I was kind of hoping for more of like a smoking gun. Like, no, they have scouts out there throwing nails on the track where they know the Toyotas are going to be. No. I don't know. There's no smoking guns. It just seems like there's just small tweaks that really actually make a big difference that certain manufacturers catch on to beforehand. You share it with like manufacturers and it does good on this track for a few years in a row.
Right.
But
And I do think that the change in the car too does affect those, as like I said, we're on like Gen 6 of this car now.
right.
So like all that data you had, yeah, it's great data,
Yeah.
but
Throw it out the window.
yeah, it's only going to apply so much. So the whole car's different.
Yep.
And I could concur too some to that aerodynamics of the car. Some of these, I mean, you see it with just like bump drafting and stuff like the super speedways, to where like some of them go nose to tail better than others.
Right.
Stuff like that, to where Like that was a problem with the Toyotas a while back, and then like there was a certain gen of the Chevys when they were the Camaro or whatever, and they had a little more of a pointed nose to where when they go up to bump draft, they wouldn't be able to get bump as clean,
Yeah.
and they'd get the
They're
rear end of the car in front of them loose,
I was
take
gonna
the
say
air
they're
off.
taking the air off the car in front of them, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, like, I feel like most people coming from outside assume that basically all of these cars are the same exact car that are just have a different emblem on them because they all
right,
pretty much look the same, right? But it's not really the case. They have to be built to certain specs that are pretty tight, I think. But
right,
there's quite a bit of wiggle room, it sounds like, within those tolerances. So
agreed.
that
Yeah,
that was my newbie search into why NASCAR tracks matter that much, or
and
manufacturers on these tracks, I guess.
speaking of manufacturers, and it ain't even just manufacturers, just a team in general. We've got four Hendricks cars in the top four
Top
because
five.
Bell and Bowman are tied in points right now, so it's top four.
Okay, you're gonna give the tiebreaker to the guy who doesn't have any wins over the guy who has
Yeah,
three
well,
wins.
biasness.
Yeah, that's not a homer call. I don't know what it is.
I got to go that route because my wife's a Bowman fan.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, hey, happy wife, happy life. Get it?
That's
I
right.
get it. Points are
Um,
points.
but we see another week a dominance at the top of the chart out of the Hendricks team. Even in Bowman didn't even have a great race last weekend,
No,
and
but
like he had a good half a race, but he fell off in the second half.
yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
I think his tires ran out, and then they made a poor decision on when to pit.
Yeah,
I
and
think
at
was the
Martinsville, like you make one bad decision and you're just in the back fighting. Like most people aren't running through that like Logano did.
right. Yeah, I mean you got to have a strong car and be on your
Aggressive.
A game, aggressive.
Yeah,
Not afraid to get into some trouble and
yeah.
really push your car and your limits to get up through the pack. And I mean I'm not saying Bowman's not the guy to do that, but like it didn't happen for him last week.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the car to do it too, and it just didn't look
Yeah,
like even when he was running great that he had the car to really be pushing for that. But yeah, no, it is interesting. You got 2311 and Hendricks just killing it so far this year.
yeah,
I mean, obviously Joe Gibbs as well, but Toyotas and the Chevys sitting up top. Fords are just kind of chilling down here waiting. I mean, nobody's out of it. It's early. A lot of
right.
season left to go, but it is kind of interesting to watch it unfold. Week by week, because you do after a month or two, you start to get a little bit of a feel of who's hot this year and who's coming out strong, who's not. So
For sure. When we're here in May next month and we're looking at the same thing, say everything's remotely close to the same.
mm-hmm.
If it's still looking the same, that'll be a lot more tail of the tape, right? Like
Yeah,
you'll be like, okay,
I
yeah,
think
these guys continue to run strong for the first half or third of the season, you know.
yeah, I think there'll be a lot more concern from Ford fans
Agreed.
if we're here in May. If we don't get at least Joey or Blaney up there into the top, 6 or 7. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
one
not.
of them with a win, you know.
Yeah, and I guess that's even more important, really.
Like, where's Josh Berry at on that list?
Barry is not on the top 16.
It must be sorted by because sorted by points. That's right.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I guess that would technically be playoff standings because if we were looking at playoff standings, it'd be
right. You're gonna have the wins in there.
rotated. Yeah,
I figure for now, I think that we'll add that in later as we get a little closer. I figure for now, just glancing at the top of the leaderboard for points. Most of these guys
very
are going to
much
be in
so.
with a win by the end of the year, probably anyway.
Yeah, good I would bet a good 8 to 10 of them will have a win by the end of the year.
Yeah, you already got what 4 with a win already, so yeah, between
Pretty.
Chase, Bowman, Reddick, Bubba, Joey, Blaney, Briscoe, Chastain, like you're gonna have another 3 or 4 of those guys easy with wins.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, and who knows? Never know. Maybe old KY Kyle Busch will figure out how to run a solid race. He's been on a rough patch for the last 2 years.
I was gonna say
So
a
it
couple
seems
years,
like.
really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like he loses so many races in the pits.
Yeah.
They've had
He
so
seems like
many pit issues.
he has something catastrophic to him happen every race that sometimes is in his control, but a lot of the times isn't.
Yeah.
Like his tires falling off in Vegas.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
was running a pretty solid day up until it drove the damn wheels off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he probably hired his guy from SVG's crew, or vice versa. SVG probably Trackhouse probably brought in Kyle's old tire changer there.
Something.
He's only lost like 4 in the last 2 races, so
Yeah, so that's a win.
yeah. All right,
But
everybody. Well, I think that's our recap for the standings. Not a whole lot's changed. I think with that, I'm ready to salute Mr. Coors Light here himself. Do you have anything else to spread to the wonderful people?
really not much. One thing I'd like to say is we won't be back on next week on a normal Thursday. We'll be really coming out on Friday next week. Due to some job issues, I gotta go out of town for most of the week next week. So
Yeah, poor guy.
yeah, poor guy.
Poor guy.
I'm getting sent to Las Vegas to go to a trade convention, and I'm not really sad about it. I'm not gonna lie.
I wouldn't
But
either.
so not gonna be on Thursday next week. We'll be back Friday, but we will be back. So
Hell yeah. Friday it'll be. I hope everybody enjoys the Darlington race. I hope it lives up. The lady in black snatches a few victims for us to watch. Cars, not people. Hopefully everybody's safe. But you know what I mean. We want to see some wrecks.
that's right.
Because it's wreckers or checkers, baby.
Wreckers or checkers, baby. You all stay blessed out there and have a wonderful weekend.
Stay
Boogity
safe,
boogie.
everybody.